Yep. Just yeah. So as we discussed, C sharp is pronounced as C. C hash is pronounced as C sharp. Uh, it is similar to like any other programming language like C++ and Java, and it is an object-oriented programming, and it runs on CLR. As we discussed, we have different data types, built-in data types in .NET. Boolean returns only true or false, and integral types are these, and we declare the syntax with these values. And floating types, float and double, decimal as x equal to 1.34, and we declare string as this, like this, with double quotation, string name equal to. As we discussed, we have different data types here, which also has ranges. And as we also discussed the hierarchy, like which is the least one and which is the large one. It starts with short, int, long, float, double, and decimal. Yeah, as we discussed, the parent of all classes and data types is object. We declared int I equal to 1 here, and object equal to O equal to I. We are just converting that to root object. Conversion because the object is the root of all classes and data types, it can convert to any data type. And similarly to unbox means converting that object to whatever data type you want. So int O. So right. So data type conversions can only be possible from shorter range to higher range. If you convert from the higher data type to lower data type, it will fail. Example is, let's say the float f equal to 100.25f. Since this is longer data type than int, if you try to convert that to integer, it will fail because float is bigger than int. As we discussed, array is a collection of similar data types. How we declare integer is, we declare this int array even numbers equal to new int. We declare the size of array first, and then we assign the values to it. That means 0 means the index starts from 0, right? The index doesn't start from 1. In arrays or any looping logic will be done with 0, right? Similarly, we can also, if you don't want to declare the size first, we can also directly assign the values to it, like what numbers we want to. Yeah, and this is logic for loop. Since we have 3 items in an array, like 0, 2, 4, which is even numbers, right? So as we know, index starts from 0, we declare int I equal to 0 and I less than even numbers. Even numbers size is what here? 3, right? So I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. So it will initially the I equal to 0. So it goes into the inside the for loop, right? And it is trying to print console.writeLine even numbers of I. Since we in this current loop I equal to 0, even numbers of 0 is what? 0. 0 will get printed. So this iteration is done, and it yeah, now I plus plus is incremented. So now I becomes 1, right? Even numbers of 1 is what? 2. Example, it prints away and it goes to next loop, next iteration, right? And it increments I equal to 1 plus plus. 1 plus 1 is 2. So even numbers of 2 is what? Yeah, I less than length, right? It will check condition. Yeah. So 2 less than, 1 less than 2 is true, right? Increment 1 plus 1 is true, right? Now even numbers of 2 is what? 4, right? And it tries to check for, is 2 less than 2? 2 less than, 2 plus plus, right? 3. Is 3 less than even numbers dot length 3? False, right? It doesn't go inside and it will come out of this for loop. Execution come out of this for loop. You got it, right? Yeah. So now we'll execute this program, okay? So మీరు కాపీ చేయాలంటే ఏం చేయండి, పబ్లిక్ స్టాటిక్ వాయిడ్ మెయిన్ లోపల ఉన్నది కాపీ చేసి just make sure the open close bracket is on the same level. Okay, so we just copied that code from and pasted here. Okay, now we'll see what will be the output. Breakpoint breakpoint. I'll also show you how to debug with breakpoint. It's loading. See now, printing even numbers 0 to 4, and odd numbers we declared 1, 3, 5. Actually, 8 is not odd number. Just added in the Word document, so it gave it. So since we declared odd number, similarly, it went through for loop and printed in the console.writeline. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll also show you the breakpoint. So how do you put breakpoint is just go left to the line numbers and put breakpoint here. Just click on here. If you want to stop the execution from at that point and you want to see step by step what is the execution flow for each line, you just put the breakpoint and run the app. Okay. Yeah, see now the breakpoint came here, right? So here on the top you have F11 and F10. F10 means just write it down. Put the heading called debugging and debugging in Visual Studio. And F10 means executing the next line. F11 means going inside the method, going inside the functionality. Going inside the functionality. F11 means, and F10 means just going to the next line. Okay, so now see, I'm pressing F10 here. F10 means you can also hover on the even numbers. F10 I'm just hovering on the even numbers. See, now I have three size of array, but I have not declared any values to the. I have not declared anything to the array size. If you don't declare anything, by default integer is 0. So that's why you're seeing 0 in the array size. Okay. And here I'll do F10 now. This is very important. Breakpoint is very important feature in real time. If you don't know about the application, you just put the breakpoint and see what is coming in, right? Yeah. So since this line number 12 got executed, now if we hover on even numbers, oh, in the already 0 only. Yeah. So if I'll just press one more time F10. See now I should see 0 and 2. 4 inka execute available. 4 did not execute yet, right? See, since my breakpoint is at the third level, line number 13, the breakpoint these two lines got executed already. So that's why you can see 0 and 2. Now if I click F10 again, now you should see 0, 2 and 4. See? So this is how you debug and understand the code. Yeah. So odd numbers also similarly, right? You have 1, 3, 5. You can also do it. Now I'll show you the iteration, the breakpoint. Yeah, and also write down F5 is for continue. You don't want to wait for your breakpoint. Breakpoint na koddiga F5 kodestai motam continue ayipoda application, right? So now see F11. Now I will go with F11, not F10, because I want to go inside the for loop, right? See now I equal to, if you hover on the I equal to 0, right? Now we'll see I equal to, what is I equal to 0, right? Now not it incremented, I plus plus is not it done, right? So now I'll do, yeah. See, after the line is executed, I plus plus is doing, because after the execution of the first iteration, it goes to I plus plus. And after, if you see the focus, after incrementing, it is going to check the condition. I is 1, and before stepping inside the for loop, it is checking whether 1 is less than 3. 1 is less than 3. And then if that condition is met, it is going inside the for loop, right? If I want to go, I don't want to press F10, F11 again. I want to press F5. I'll just press F5. It goes to next iteration, right? Now I equal to 2, right? Similarly, it increments 2 plus plus. So now is 2 plus plus 3, right? Is 3 less than 3? False, right? 3 less than or if it is 3 less than or equal to 3, it is true. But it is 3 less than 3. 3 is not less than 3, right? If 3 is 3. So it went out of that for loop. See, it did not go inside. Then it is when the value is 3. You got it, right? Similarly, it does the same thing for odd numbers. See, it got printed. Okay. Yeah. So this is about array example. Okay. Any questions here? No. Yeah. Yeah. So arrays is done. If else, if statement. You know about if statement, right? If the condition is true, this is also a conditional statement. If let's say string fruit equal to apple, right? So if you know that fruit is exactly the apple, you just put if fruit equal to apple, go inside it. Otherwise, do other thing, right? I'll just show you the example. Similarly, copy the inside void main. Okay. I'm also recording. You can just go through my recording and do the same steps if you're stuck somewhere. Oh, remove this bracket. There are extra brackets. Yeah, right line means prints it. Read means reading the value of what we want. See here now, console dot write line or enter your number. Okay, it is similar to your scanf readf. Scanf, is there any readf and see? No, right? No. Scanf. Yeah, scanf printf, right? Similarly, in whatever we do in C, control dot write line, console dot write line, enter your number. And in this user number, we are trying to convert whatever value you enter, console dot read line. So console dot read line will read whatever you're typing in. And when you, as soon as you click enter, it will read that value. I'll just show you with the breakpoint also. In dot parse means conversion from string. Whenever you type something in the command prompt, right? It is by default string. So you're converting that whatever you type to int. If you type other than number, it will fail. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, let me show you. You put a integer dot parse, right? Console dot read line. So now it is enter your number. It is asking, but to get into that function, you just click continue. Yeah, enter your number. So here I'll enter 5. See, the breakpoint got hit. You see this arrow. So now if you see user number is 5, right? So tell me which line will get executed since we have if else if else if else. Okay, line number 29, right? See. Okay, the how if else if will work is first it will check from the sequence. Is user number 5 equal to 1? False, right? It will go to else if 5 equal to 2? No, right? And again it just checks again the same way. Since this is false, now it should go inside it. See, so that means this condition is met. 5 equal to 5 is true. That's why it went inside. Let's say the user, okay, so this got executed and the next line will not get executed. It will come out of that if else if else. Directly if you see, it will execute console.read key. See, it didn't get it.
Equal to 5 else
Yeah, if you don't give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if example if you give 6, it will directly go to else block. Got it, right? Okay. It's not used actually. I can get rid of it. Actually, this uses in C, right? In legacy C, what happens is if you don't put console.readline, I mean, scanf at the end of the execution, application will get closed, right? Just for making application to be on the staying running always, we just put console.read.
We can write how many else?
Yeah, we can write anyway, but this is not good. Else will be only once. Yeah, good question. So it can be any else if, but there is only one if. For one if else if, it can be only one if.
We can write any else if.
Yes, but it can only have one if and one else. Make sense? Right now, I will give 6. We'll see what will happen, right? Yeah, I'll enter 6 here and click enter. User number is 6. We'll see which one will get executed. See, else block. It will, but it will check from top. Each line will be checked, and at the end it will go to else, right? And one more thing. What if I enter? Since we are trying to force convert to integer, what if we give string? Fail, right? We'll see. Enter Kamal. See, format exception, input string was not in a correct format, right? So to handle this, there is an exception handling. Just write it down. Exception handling means handling the exception, which is unhandled. I mean, we don't know what is the exact error. So you see here, yeah, you can write it down. To handle this error, if we are sure that that line might get error, right? What we do is we do try. We are just telling that, hey, try my code. Okay. So we know that this code might get break, right? So that's why we did put try block here. And at the end of this else, we close this try block, and we did put catch. Catch means it catches the exception. So which line got break and stuff we can investigate in future purposes. So it will show you example. I'll tell. Hi, I will write it down. Console.error. Think error. Oh, I think it won't work like that. Yeah. So if you hover here, right line, it is accepting object data type also in the arguments parameter. So as I said, object is the root of all classes. Whatever you pass, it will just get print. So here, if you are passing exception data type to the console.write line, it is accepting. Even if you try to print string to the console.write line, it is also accepting. As I said, it's a concept of unboxing, right? So finally, what I'm saying is console.write line process done. So the what is the use of finally is, if it is success, that is good, right? It won't execute catch block. If it is failed, it will go to catch block, right? The special case of finally is, even if it is success or fail, this will get executed. You got it, right? Success or fail, it will get executed. The reason for using finally is sometimes we open database connections, and sometimes if database connection fails, what we do is for connecting database, we do connection.open sometimes, right? And if something happens in the try block, if you don't close the connection, the database will always be open, right?
Catch block.
What if it is failed? So here, as you said, right? Some example, connection.open. Example, like this is not, this will fail when you put this code, but I'm just telling example. So connection.open. So here we know this line will get executed, right? You're saying we can put in the here, right? And you're saying instead of using finally after this success execution, we can do this here, right? But here, if you observe, we had to write in two places. Connection.close is on two places. Instead,
Why come out of try block and come to the catch block, right? When try block fails.
but in success case also, you want to close the connection after the last line of execution, right? So instead of writing in two places, we can just write it in the finally. As we know, this will get executed in success or failed case. Got it? Finally. Right. Yep. This is about the exception, exception handling and use of if else if statements. If else if else, right? So now I'm going with switch case. So it's switch is nothing but similarly, like if you turn on the switch, it will only if there is like 4 switches on your switchboard, and if you know what light is related to that switch, you just turn on that switch, right? Let's say you have AC in your room and fan in your room and TV in your room and lights are in your room. If you want to turn on only TV, you just directly go to TV switch and just turn on that switch, right? But you don't click all switches, turn on all switches and try to check which one is turning on, something like that, right? So similarly, it's the same thing, switch case. So if you know what switch it is, directly it goes and executes that line. If you observe in your previous code, what did you had? Like it was checking all else ifs. Let's say you have your switch is TV on the 4. It is checking for AC, it was checking for lights, and it is turning on your TV, right? But in switch case, it will directly go to, if let's say you turn on TV, let's say TV is here, it directly goes here and executes that statement. It doesn't execute, that doesn't check for this. Got it? Any questions? Yeah. So I will copy the same code snippet from here. Yeah. Some okay. So now if you see this code, what it is telling is, I just copied that code and did paste it in the inside the main function. Okay. So here I declared int day equal to 4. Right. The day is nothing but like 1 means Monday, 2 means Tuesday, 1 means Monday, 2 means Tuesday, 3 means Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right. If day equal to 4, which one will get executed? Tell me. Thursday, right? This will get executed. But if you observe in our if else if, it was checking initially for this. If it is not satisfied, it was going for this, and it was going for this, and it's checking, and it was executing this. But the smart thing with switch is directly goes to 4, because if you use this way, the performance improvement will be happening, right? Yeah. So now I'll put the breakpoint on switch day equal to 4. We'll see what will happen. Right now, if you see day equal to 4, I'll just press F11, okay? Because see, automatically it went to case 4. It didn't check for 1, 2, 3, right? And as soon as this got executed, it tells break. Break means come out of that execution loop, not whole application, okay? Break means it doesn't close every whole application. It just comes out of that loop. See here, there is an open and close bracket, right? It just comes out of that bracket. I'll put the breakpoint here just for your understanding. See, it just came out of that switch case, not breaking the application, right? That's the main. Yeah, that's the use of switch case. Okay, I also added the syntax in the Word document. I can share it with you so that you can just practice that in your. So, and just tell me, if I want to use string, how do you do that? I give int day equal to 4. I want to use string. Yeah, tell me how to. And I'm getting this error here. Double quote, yes. So now I'm also getting this error here. What should I do? Oh, double quotes. So one means without double quote means numbers, right? If it is with double quote, that means it's a string. So we need to convert that to, don't need to convert it, just put this double quotes. I'll just remove this just for. So now, and also forgot to tell you, if you don't, if it is not matching, let's say you had 1, 2, right? And if you pass 4, what should happen? This will get executed directly and it will print invalid day passed. Okay. So yeah. So now similarly, right? So if it is with number, you had number declaration without double quotes. If it is string, you did declare with double quotes. So switch case is that way, right? Yeah. Yeah, day equal to 2, right? If you see, it is also in double quote. See, this got executed. Finally got executed. See, even in success case, the finally is getting executed. So that is where the use of finally. Okay. Did you make note of it? Like finally gets executed even in success and failure case. Yes, I also put just like quotes in but try, open close curly bracket, just put catch, exception, curly bracket, open close. Yep. So now I'm moving on to while loop. Okay. So I'm just copying the code from document. Okay. Just for saving some time. Okay. So int I equal to 0. This while loop means int I equal to 0. I'm checking while. While means until, right? While means until, right? Until I less than 5. So 0 is less than 5, right? So initially we declared 0, I equal to 0. 0 less than 5 means true. It will go into this inside the while loop, right? Console.write line. It gets print I is 0. And we are saying I plus plus. And it will again go into inside this one. and gets incremented. 1 less than 5 true and increments 2. 2 plus plus 3 and 3 plus plus 4. 4 plus plus is 5 and 5 less than 5 is false. It doesn't get executed and come out of that loop.
What is second value?
For loop and this one.
When we have to use.
When we have to use means for loop, actually it depends on your case situation actually. So it does the same thing, but it works in the same way actually. It's upon your decision which one to use. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah. So yeah, I can also execute and it show you the execution flow also. F10 and F11. See, now I equal to 0. I'll just press F11 because I need to go inside, right? F11. I less than 5 is 0 less than 5 is true. That's why it went inside. Now I plus plus, right? So if you do I plus plus, that means 0 plus 1 is 1. And now I becomes 1. See again the F loop, the while loop iterated. Then now 1 less than 5 is true. Similarly, 2 less than 5 is true. Just put the breakpoint like this. See, the 5 less than 5 is false. That's why it went outside. It didn't go inside. Yeah. That's about the while loop. Any questions? So enums, right? Enums means enumeration. So sometimes we get in database stored as like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me show you. Yes, yeah. Yeah. So if you see, enums means enumeration, right? So sometimes we don't know what the value is. Let's say I have int I equal to 0. Let's say the I equal to 0 is coming from some external service. Like, let's assume your I equal to 0 is coming from some other sources. Okay. You want to map in your code with that enums. Let's say int j equal to 1, int k equal to 2, right? So you got these values from external sources, but you don't know what is that 0, 1, 2 represents, right? If you want to know what 0 means, what 1 means, what 2 means, you declare enums, enumeration. We are just telling that 0 means low. If you hover on the low, you're seeing 0, right? Medium means 1, high means 2, right? So now if you see level dot medium, I'll just print. We use enum dot parse, right, to know what value it is, right? I'll just diagram.
No. Hi, Daddy. Okay. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Daddy.
10 minutes ఇంకా 1 hour పడుతుంది కంప్లీట్ చేసాం చిన్నది ఇప్పుడు చూడండి నేను ఏమంటున్నా ఇంట్ I equal to 0, j equal to 1, k equal to 2, right? So just forget about this. Int j equal to 0, j equal to 1, k equal to 0. So I just declared int I equal to 0. I want to understand what is I represents, right? So now if I put breakpoint here, so since we know I equal to 0, we should see this foo1 output as what? Low, exactly. Right now we know I equal to 0. If I do F10, now I should see low. You got it? So this represents in easy way to understand what that I equal to 0 means, what I equal to 1 means. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If your external service is sending you numbers and you don't know what that value is, like example, you know it's low, right? You know it's low. That means so we can easily see what that one means. We can send this low value to your UI front end applications or something, right? Yep. And similarly, if you get string equal to, you got integer, let me do this, save for your purpose. For integer, you did this way, right? What if you get string? We do this way for parsing string. If you know the data type is coming as integer, you do in the previous way. If it is a string, you do this way. I'll just put a breakpoint here also. I'll just note it down here also, just for your reference. Parsing integer, right? So yeah, now it's this one got executed. Now I'll just press F10. Now I should say low. See? I'll also put it down in your document for your reference. Foo2, okay? Yeah, this is for parsing string. Okay, clear, right? Yeah, this is about the enums. So now the methods. Method means what? Method means a function, right? So when you method function, method can have parameters, and it can be called from your calling function, and method is implemented, declared and implemented in the called function, right? You know that calling function and called function, right? Calling means whoever is calling that method. Called function means after calling that function, it goes inside that called function, right? So here I'm just copying it, putting it here. Okay. Yeah, tell me what will be the output. Just I'll not execute, but I want to see. Tell what will be the output. Completely. What will be the output? It will execute. Oh, I copied 2 times this method. Yeah. Tell me what will be the output. Since this is a calling function. Right. So here the method executes in the console application or in .NET Core. The method execution starts from public static void main. It also does in the same thing for C++ and C as well, right? So this is my method, right? So we declared method name. If you just right click on the method name and go to definition, it will go to here, right? So we declared method with static void. Static means it doesn't needs to be instantiated. You can just directly call the method name directly, right? So my method, and when this line gets executed, this will get called, and this will be printed, right? Since I called 3 times, it will be printed 3 times, right? Same. And tell me what keys I need to print for click for debugging. Okay. I want to go inside the method, my method. What should I click the button? See, when I clicked F11, it went inside the method. So now it printed again. It went back to the previous, right? Now I clicked at F10 again, and now I will press F11. See, this got printed. Again F3. See this? That's it. Is this clear? Otherwise, static what? Public static void main. Method controller.
Static
You don't need to declare static also. Actually, static without static. That's it. If there is no static, you need to instantiate the class and go inside that method if you want.
Parameters
Yeah. And if you want to print something with parameters, yeah, without object also we can pass the parameters if it is static. So see now, without static also, yeah. Oh, without static we need to instantiate the object and pass, right? So here I'm passing the parameters now, right? See, so now I'll make this method as parameter input. Okay. Okay, for passing the values and printing to the output is done using dollar. You need to put dollar at the beginning and just executed with input. You don't need to give with input exactly, but I'm just giving an example. I just put the open close bracket and just pass what it is. Right. So since we declared the parameter to the method, right? Whatever the input I give to this method, this will get printed, right? I just got executed with input. This input can be this can be anything, okay, with value. So but this should match with this input, okay. So you're giving dollar and giving the curly brackets and just passing that input parameter to this, right? So and if you see this method is erroring out, the calling function is erroring out, saying that there is no argument given that corresponds to the formal input of, right? So that means it is expecting some parameters to be passed, right? So Kamal, Ram here, Surya here, example, right? So now what should it print? Tell me. Yeah, tell me, read it out.
I just got
Kamal ఒకటే వస్తుందా? See, what did happen? You got it, right?
static view.
Yeah. So this method is called 3 times and it has its dynamic input. So we gave input Ram here and Surya here, and this is passed, Surya is passed to this input, and this input got printed here. Is this clear? Right? This will still work because this is inside that scope. So if you declare this method outside the main method, we need to instantiate this class and need to print it. Yeah. Without static also it will work because it's inside. This method is encapsulated. Encapsulation, you know, right? That is inside that scope, inside that class, right? So to your answer, if you want to create a new class, see, I will create a new class here. Yeah, so just watch it out. If you want to create a new class, you just click on the library C# and add class. Click on the class and say execute method .cs example. You can give a whatever name you want, right? So okay, we'll just move this method to our new class which you just created. Okay, and we need to, whenever we create new class, we need to put the access modifier. So public means it can be accessed across application. Yeah. So now I'll copy this name. I need to instantiate this object, right? So in the first line, method equal to new, okay, and method dot my method. Oh, here, yeah. So whenever we do that, right, whenever we create a method also, we need to put public. So that's why it didn't give me the IntelliSense. See, previously without public, I didn't get this my method. After putting that public to that function name, I got this my method, right? So similarly, you copy that to see, Priya, your question is answered, right? So if you create a class outside this main method, then you need to instantiate it, right? So yeah, so now this should work and get printed. Oops. I closed it. That's, yeah, see. So this is with creating the instantiating an object, right? So now I don't want to instantiate. I just want to declare without instantiate. What should I do? Yeah, exactly. The static. So to make this method as static, we declare static here and after public also static, right? So now you made the static. Static methods cannot be instantiated. It will fail because static methods cannot be instantiated. That is a rule. It cannot be instantiated with a new object. You can directly access. So I will remove this line. I'll just put like this. You can, since that static class cannot be instantiated, we directly can access that method class. You got it, right? See, the output got generated. Yeah, this is about the method parameters and method static class and the object class, right? So now just I will wrap it up after this until the access modifiers. Okay, so we'll finish on this part later. At least wiper. Yeah, so OOPS concepts, right? Right, object oriented programming. As I told you, object is the root of all classes and data type. Okay, as I said, everything, anything which is object, anything which you see is an object. Let's say, as I said, TV is an object, and TV inside the accessories is nothing but a properties, right? Example, and also there is a car in real life. The car is an object. Car has attributes. Car has color, or what model it is, what whether it has the brakes, like drive through or something like that, right? Class is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. So here we created a class here, and I just showed you in the previous demo, right? We create a class and we instantiate that class with car my object equal to new car. And if there is a properties inside that class, you can also declare that property like color equal to red. So since we declared get set, right, in the property, if you put color equal to red, which will get updated here also. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, get set means get, read set means write. So there are some cases you don't need set. In this case, this will get errored out. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Console.writeLine my object.color. Since we overridden, since we added that color equal to red, when we do my object.color, with what will get printed? Right. Similarly, interface, right? Interface is nothing but it is kind of a class, but we don't implement methods. Yeah, if we don't implement methods in there, we just declare. We can only have declaration without bodies. Okay. Yeah, interface helps us to hide our extra information. It is kind of also abstraction of our the methods, right? So we don't show what method is implemented, right? We just show what is a declared function. The interface also helps us to uh, mock the mock the mock the child classes, right? So in real time, when you do real time projects, right? So there are some cases you need to write unit tests. Unit tests cannot be mocked on the child class directly. You need to be mocking on the interface only. So here I did declare interface I animal, and I just declared it. I didn't implement it. It doesn't have a body. If you see here, right? And I'm inheriting that class. This is called inheritance. Okay. So this is a child class now. So to implement the interparent class, we do with this selector. This is colon. This is not semicolon. Yeah, this is colon, and this is a parent class. We are just telling that hey, pick. This is your parent class is I animal. Okay. And whatever we declared in the parent class, we are implementing in the child class. You got it? A body of animal sound is provided here. Pick says VV. Right? Yeah. Now, to instantiate the child class, this is the syntax. So whenever you're declaring when you're creating interface, right? The best practice is to start with I and put your name. That represents interface, right? So I animal is interface. You're telling that, hey interface, my child class is pick, right? I knew in your public static void when you need to put this I animal my pick equal to new pick, right? So now my pick dot animal sound will print this line. I'll show you in real time. Maybe you're getting confused. Yeah. So as you know, the breakpoint, the execution starts from public static void main. So this is very important. Listen carefully. Okay. You're charging it. Yeah, 1 second, my charge. Yeah, here as we said, the execution starts from public static void main, and we are saying that animal interface equal to new pick. So we declare the interface here, and we are implementing that child class with. We are saying that hey pick class, your child and your parent is I animal. So we declare parent with this syntax, I animal. Okay. Interface should be parent always. Interface is a parent always. The child class, without interface, you might ask, without interface can also be a parent class? Yes, we can. If you remove this class, this can also be a base class, right? Parent class, right? So I'll come to that. I also have that concept, animal sound. So now my execution started here. I'm saying my pig equal to animal interface equal to new pig, and I'm saying my pig dot animal sound. Now I'll click F11, which will go inside animal sound. Yep. We also declared for child class, right? So here we are saying we instantiated the child class here, new pig, right? But you're saying I animal. So interface equal to basically the syntax is to instantiate the child class is interface space alias equal to new child class. Okay, that is the standard. So here, right? Interface some variable new child class. Yeah. So this is just example I'm telling, which this line will get errored out, but I'm just saying, trying to help out what it means. So here, iAnimal means parent class. MyPig means some variable, declared some variable to it, right? And new pig means new child class. Got it? Okay. This is clear, right? Interface and inheritance. This is a Hooke's concept, and this is so helpful in your real time. Huh? Yeah. So now this is multiple inheritance. We just saw previously single inheritance. So this is multiple inheritance. So here, two interfaces. Yeah. Yeah, what happened now? You see, iAnimal is an interface and iPrice is and also another interface. You are telling that pig, you have two interfaces to be implemented, iAnimal and iPrice. And if you see, if you don't implement this, it will get errored out. See, pig doesn't implement interface iPrice.price until then. So this means when you forcefully say that you need to implement interface, it will error out. So now you see this will go away and you have two interfaces. One has animal sound okutundi, you have void price, right? So now you have in your child class, you have two methods, which is one is animal sound and one is price. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here, yeah. So here, as we discussed, we have this pig is implementing two levels, right? I mean, two interfaces. That means multiple inheritance. That is called multiple inheritance. So now, in your public static void main, I'm saying, as we discussed previously, parent class equal to child class. Right? Here, parent class. What is parent class here? And child. And here, price is your parent class. So tell me what will be the output after running this tool 4 lines? Prices? Yep, awesome. I'll put 2 breakpoints here to show you. Now F11, it goes inside this. This gets executed. So right, one is one interface, right? And to access price, got it? Price pig says VV and price is $10. If you observe, you cannot access my pig dot price because that's not with that interface. You got it? Because price is inside iPrice. Got it, right? Yeah. Yeah, this is about multiple inheritance and encapsulation, right? So encapsulation means you're hiding some data and functions to your external methods or external classes. Encapsulation means you're just restricting something, right? Encapsulation. Let's just think of some capsule tablet, right? You don't disclose what is inside the tablet. You just have it and swallow it, right? So it's the same thing. So here, as I just said, capsule, like medicine, right? The tablet inside thing is, just assume this is private. So all the private method inside the class cannot be disclosed to other classes. Yeah, I'll just show you in real-time example. Just copy this. Right? I think this will not get executed. Yeah. So here I have a department class, right? Department class. Inside the department class, I have private. Private means this is one of the access modifiers. This private variable cannot be accessed outside this public class department, right? So this small letter department name can be accessed only inside this public class, not outside this public class. This is called encapsulation. Got it, right? This is very important. So this small letter department name can be only accessed within this class. If you can see, they are accessing return department and they are setting this value to this department name. So they are trying to set and get from outside with this public string department name. Okay, but now they are not directly accessing this department name private variable. So this is what encapsulation means. The private members inside the class cannot be accessed outside the class. That is called encapsulation. Okay. So now, if you see C dot department name, we are, we'll go this. Yeah, we'll show you. Yeah, so we are setting the department name. So this department name now will have this communication. So when we did D dot department name, right? If you observe D uppercase means this, not this. Okay. So we are saying that D dot department name equal to communication. We'll put the breakpoint here for your clear explanation. Okay. First. Right. So now I'll just department. Okay. Now we are setting that we are setting department name to communication. Now I will do F11, right? What is happening now is going inside set, not get. So if you hover on department name now, it is null. So now I'll do F10. So now if I hover, it's communication now. You see? So now this means we are setting the private variables with this public method, public property. This is called public property. Okay. So now after this line got executed, right? The console.write line. And it is trying to say d dot depart name. That means it is trying to get now. That's why this line got executed. You got it, right? When you are setting it, when you are setting some value, it will go to set. When you are reading it, get, right? So when you're printing that line to console, you're saying d dot depart name. So when you do d dot depart name, that means it's go get the property value from the class. So that's why this get got called, and now this depart name is communication, and now it gets printed. Okay, this is encapsulation. This concept is very important. It's very important in your real time. Okay, I'll just finish off here itself. I don't go to the access modifiers also. Yeah, just go with polymorphism. Polymorphism means many. Poly means many, right? So it can occur many times that are related to that each class. So this is also kind of inheritance, which I told. I'll just show you the example. Right now, so we discussed, right? Parent class can also interface will be the parent for everything, right? So instead of creating with interface, we can also do with the basic class also, the normal class as well. No, the normal class can also be a parent to some child class. Not only interface, normal class can also be a parent to another class. So now animal is a base class here. Base class means parent, right? Parent class. So in interface, we had to we had to only declare. We did not write any body, but in base class we can implement, right? So here we are saying public void animal sound, right? Here, and we are saying this child class is pig. Okay, and what is the base class to it, the parent class to it? Animal, right? So if you observe, this also has animal sound, this also has animal sound, but this pig says VV, but this animal just saying that animal makes a sound. And here, and dog also has animal. So example, in animal there are two types. Example in our case, one is pig and one is dog. Pig says VV, dog says bobo. Example, right? Bow wow. Yeah. So now we are going to this animal. So in our instantiating in the interface, what we did, I interface equal to some variable equal to new child, right? Here, instead of interface, we just declare base class, parent class. Animal is a parent class. Animal equal to new animal. It creates an animal object. Now we are saying base class, hey animal, your child class is pig now. Hey animal, your child is pig now, right? And here also, hey animal, now your animal is dog. We instantiated three objects here, and we are trying to call animal sound. Each animal has its own console.write line, right? Now tell me what will be the output.
Animal makes sound.
Dog
Fixes meaning.
Dog Yeah, but I see why you said that, but that is incorrect. This polymorphism means method overloading. Even though you pass it that, always this one will get executed. Until unless you override the child class, always base class will get executed. You are part of right, but the method polymorphism concept is always base class will get executed if you don't override. Okay. So now I'll show you the output is animal makes a sound 3 times. Sometimes if you don't get the output very quick, you just close this console and try running it. See, the animal makes a sound got printed 3 times, because as I said, even though you declared here animal as pig and dog, it is always taking the base class because he did not override it, the child class. What is override means? Method overriding. That is also a OOPS concept. Okay. So you might ask, then how do I call the pig animal sound? Now I'm getting with override. We need to get. Okay. So here, right, we got the output 3 animal makes a sound instead of one is dog says VV and pig says VV and dog bow. Yeah. So this concept is method overriding now. This is a oops concept, right? So now to call the child class, just go. We will go with our example, okay? To override, if you want the pick to be executed, only dog method to be executed, you need to declare override here. Okay. This is called method overriding. And in the parent, you need to make virtual. Okay. So now tell me what will be the output. Pick says. Yep. See, got. This is called method overriding. And in the previous example, I just with the previous example, I just make changes to the parent class virtual and child class override. That's it. Because base class interface doesn't implement, right? That's why it didn't get that issue. That's a good question. So interface will not have body, so always the child class will get executed. Yeah, just do your example. I'll just make interface. Okay.
We have to classes only. We have to.
Yep. See, interface cannot be instantiated. Interface needs to be instantiated with child class, right? So now, yep. Tell me what will be the output now.
So pixel.
See, if you use child class only, if you have parent class as class, then only you need to use virtual override. It's clear, right? And method hiding now. Yeah, that is method overloading. Yeah, I'll explain you. That's good point you raised. Yeah. So to our method overriding, now I want my pick to be so with if you say pig says okay, this one, right? My pick dot animal sound. What will it do? Pig says VV will be printed. I don't want pig says VV to be printed. So like there is a concept called method hiding. Okay. If you don't want to print this pig says VV, you just remove override and put new. In the child class, I'm saying new. New means this method doesn't execute and parent class method will get executed instead. Okay. New means. Okay. So we'll see now. See, this is a concept of override method hiding. So if you don't want your child class to be executed, if you want child class to be hidden, you just put new.
Same base class
Even though you instantiated parent with dog pig class, it is still when you put new, base class will get executed instead. Got it, right? Use, so there are some cases you had to let's say you use, what is the use you're asking, right? So here sometimes so there are some advanced features. Let's say iOS version, Android version. There is a new release deployed, right? In the base class, in the example in the animal class, version 10 was working fine. Example, in the base class there was version 10, in the child class there is version 11. So they introduced new app version 11, right? Let's say the version 11 is not working as expected. They want to put it on hold for some days, right? They'll just put new, they'll remove that override and just put new. And for some users, the version 10 will be deployed. You got it, right? And later, after a few days, they will work on that child class which was broke, and they'll fix it and just remove that new with override. That is a real-time use case. Clear, right? If the new version is broke, they'll just switch that to parent. That's what the use is. Yeah, this is method hiding. So now I'll go with abstract. Abstract is also kind of same base class stuff only, you know. Okay, so abstract method can hide some information to the users outside that class. The methods difference between interface and abstract is interface can only declare methods, right? But abstract can declare methods and implement method also. Okay, ఇది ఇంటర్వ్యూ క్వశ్చన్ మీకు పక్కా ఇంటర్వ్యూ క్వశ్చన్ కాదు వైవా క్వశ్చన్ కూడా అడుగుతారు difference between abstract interface అడగరా అడుగుతారు yeah.
So what is abstract?
Abstract means method hiding. Yeah. So abstract main difference between interface and abstract is interface can have only the method declaration, whereas abstract can have declaration as well as implementation. So here, now you see here, declared animal sound, and they also implemented method called sleep. Okay. Okay. Now we and abstract method cannot be instantiated. We cannot instantiate an abstract class. Okay. Whereas interface can be instantiated. That is also a main difference. Okay, pig, and we are saying that the base class parent class is animal. Similarly, in method hiding, we did use virtual and override. Right here, we make use of abstract and override. If you want to override the base class method, use override. You got it, right? And if you see, this pig also has access to sleep. See now. See, this is the because this sleep method already implemented in the base class, you just call like this if you want to access that parent class, right? Yeah. Now I'm saying in the public static void main pig equal to new. Since we cannot instantiate an abstract class, we can directly go ahead and instantiate our child class. So here child class some variable equal to new child class dot animal sound, right? You might ask, we did not have sleep inside the pig. How is it working? Parent class. Yeah, child class acquires properties of the parent, right? So even though the sleep method is not declared in this public class pig, since we overrided the abstract, since we implemented the base class, we can still call sleep method from the parent. Okay. So now tell me what will be the output. Tell me after these two lines. Z, right? Yeah. I need to close it. And make sure whenever you're running your application, you need to close this console window. Yeah, you're right. See, this is a concept of abstraction. Okay. Yeah, as we already discussed, the static class cannot be instantiated. We can just declare the static string like this and static method like this, and we just call from the public static void main we just called static class dot method name. You remember, right? When we called no simple static class means it is a, but static class cannot be inherited, right? There is abstract can be inherited for the child class. No. Yeah. So this is a static class. Exception handling, as I said, the try int I equal to 5/0. 5/0 means what? Divided by 0 exception, right? It cannot, number cannot be divided by 0, right? In real time also. If you put in calculator also, it will not work, right? 5/0 is anything divided by 0 is failed. So in our same case, int dot parse someone in our console.read line, we were expecting integer number. When I put string Kamal, it was going to catch block, right? In the same case, int I equal to 0, 5/0. That means it will be an exception. It will catch that exception, and we print that exception dot message. And finally, this is a finally block. Got it? Exception handling. So we can create our custom exception also. Like we can discuss this later. There are many things. Okay. For now, right? I have already a task for you. We are done for today. అది మౌనిక అది అవుతుందా విజువల్ స్టూడియో ఒకసారి ఓపెన్. We are done for today. We'll discuss on this tomorrow.